Hello, everyone. Today we will be discussing how the Central Powers could have realistically won World War I. The Central Powers consist of the German Empire, which is definitely the powerhouse of Europe with great military leadership, a strong military in general, good population, and good industry. Austria-Hungary, big population, very good industry, which a lot of people don't know about the nation. But what holds it back is poor military leadership and multiple ethnicities within the country, which means that a lot of people do not speak the same language, which makes military conquest difficult when most soldiers don't know what their commander-in-chief is saying, or fellow soldiers, meaning that some soldiers have no idea what was going on and they were just trying to copy what everyone else was doing. No, that is not made up. That genuinely happened a lot. Along with the Ottoman Empire, which was a crumbling empire with a terrible industry but high population, with a lot of soldiers but not enough weapons and supplies to give them, and they were fighting terribly overpowered foes like the Russian Empire and the British, and also Bulgaria, a small nation in the Balkans that has a lot of fight in them, but unfortunately not a lot of power behind it. So now in this scenario, we have World War I officially kicking off as the Germans blitz through Luxembourg and Belgium to get through Germany's weak points in the line to get to Paris, as Austria-Hungary and Germany combined both attack the now still mobilizing Russians, as Austria-Hungary still tries to break through Serbia and Montenegro. But what we don't see in this war so far is the British joining this war through the invasion of Belgium. The German Empire's plan in World War I was very simple: go through Luxembourg and Belgium to get to France's weak points and capture Paris, as Russia would take too long to mobilize with their massive population and poor industry, making mobilization very slow for the Empire, meaning that they had a good chance of taking out France before Russia was ready. They could take on France, defeat France, go against Russia, and win the war. Now, what really stopped this happening in real life, which would have just led to a German victory right here, is the British Empire forcing Belgium to stop letting Germans pass through, which they already agreed to let them do peacefully. So they had a justification to join the war, as Belgium looked as if it was being invaded. Now, a lot of people don't know this is true, but it is true. Luxembourg and Belgium gave Germany military access, and the UK forced Belgium to go against it, forcing the German Empire to be very upset and do atrocities in Belgium, which I'm not supporting. The Germans had no right to do that. I am just saying why Germany did these actions. Now, with the UK officially in the war, we see Germany's fate brewing, as France, the UK, and Russia were praying for Germany's downfall ever since they officially united after the Franco-Prussian War. And now with the UK in the war, things get really difficult for Germany. Now, this is a realistic scenario, and the UK wanted to join the war from the start. They just needed probable cause because their civilians officially didn't want to join. And to make this scenario realistic, and for how much the UK really wanted to get into this war, we simply cannot just not have this happen for Germany's sake in this scenario, and the UK still joins, meaning that trench warfare officially begins on the Western Front as British and French troops hold off the Germans right at the outskirts of Paris, just like in real life, pushing them back slightly, with the Germans digging in and the Allies doing the same to avoid further pushes. Now, with the stage being set for World War I to truly begin, we now see something happen in the war that will drastically affect it, mainly with what the Italians decide to do. Now, the Italians were already allied with the German Empire and Austria-Hungary, but in real life they were promised these lands here from Austria-Hungary if they betrayed the Germans and joined the Entente to help change the tide of war, as there would be a new front launched which could help knock out the Austro-Hungarians. Now, in this time, I will simply not have this happen. With these lands from France being promised here, and with the Italians already having good relations with the Germans and decent enough relations with the Austro-Hungarians, and officially being in the Central Powers, just not the war, it is still realistic to say that in this scenario, the Italians could simply just not betray the alliance and instead declare war on the Entente and start a push in through France, making France officially be fighting a two-front war, one in the north and one in the south, as now in this timeline, Italy sticks with the Central Powers and now joins the war. So now in this scenario, we have the Central Powers currently being Germany and Austria-Hungary and Italy, as Italy chooses not to betray the Germans and Austria-Hungarians by now siding with them as they were meant to and attacking the French. But now we get into a different issue that the Germans went through: Austrian incompetence. Austria-Hungary is the underdog of Europe and honestly a terrible ally to have in this war. It is literally every single major European power, and honestly the two worst ones to have, in my opinion, because common sense, is the Ottoman Empire and Austria-Hungary, and in real life, Germany got both of those. Now with the Ottoman Empire, we can sort of deal with, but with the Austro-Hungarians, it is simply not realistic to have them not be in this war. So in this video, we need to make sure that they can at least fight well. And to keep realism and to make sure that this scenario isn't just us always having Germany have the upper hand when it comes to every single aspect, so the only thing we can do for Austria-Hungary here is to give them some competent generals that can actually do their jobs without failing horribly in every campaign that they have. So in this scenario, they don't have to rely on the Germans for absolutely everything while still getting their butts kicked in areas where they would in real life. Now, one thing we're not seeing is Ottoman entry into this war, and the answer for why that is simple. They do not wish to join in this timeline. They already didn't in real life, and treacherous politicians forced them into the war by attacking the Russians. In this scenario, everyone sees the writing on the wall, and it simply doesn't happen. They have a poor industry. They're already crushing on the inside. The British Navy is already in the Mediterranean, focused on war, as the Italians are in the Central Powers. And pushing into Russia is unlikely. Same thing with Egypt. And in this scenario, they just ultimately know that this war is not worth joining, which is very good for Germany, as all the Ottomans joining this war in this timeline would do is screw things up, as they would be conquered, and it would just make things look more humiliating for the Central Powers on the world stage. And with the Central Powers looking weak, it could coerce the Americans to join the war sooner and with less probable cause. So now with this, we see Austria-Hungary successfully crushing Montenegro as they should have in real life, as they slowly push into Serbia, but still with the Serbian defense and still the poor Austria-Hungarian military, they simply could not push in all the way. We see the Russian Sixth Army almost completely destroyed as the Germans push in as it did in real life, with the Austro-Hungarians being pushed into slightly less but still a decent bit as the Germans come to their aid as they did in real life and pushing them back, and the Romanians as they joined this war. Now at this time, we also see Bulgaria join this war as they did in real life, as we know, and they helped the Austro-Hungarians push into Serbia, as Serbia was now fighting on two fronts, with the Bulgarians to their east and the Austro-Hungarians at their north. And now with this, and Italy joining the war and helping against France and kind of helping the Mediterranean Sea, but at the same time not really, we now see the tides turning as this war is now in the Germans' favor. Now in this timeline, we see things going really well for the German Kaiser, with the Russian Civil War now officially going off in full swing, with Lenin arriving in Russia from Switzerland, and the Germans still performing well in France with the Italians attacking from the south, we now see an alternative, still realistic scenario where the Central Powers are officially winning the First World War. But one thing that can still mess them up is the Americans joining in. Now, in real life, what got America involved in this war was simple. Germany asked Mexico to attack the Americans, as German intelligence assumed that America would join the war, as Germany had sank a few American ships with American civilians on board. Now, in real life, we now know that the USA was not going to join the war because of that, and only joined due to the German message. Now, in real life, as this was taking place, Mexico was in a civil war, the military was weak and small, and it would easily be overrun by the Americans. So in this timeline, by still going up with realism here, the Germans simply know that sending this message is stupid, won't work, and will just tick off the Americans. So in this timeline, what we have is Germany not even trying to negotiate or speak with the Mexicans, as they let their civil war continue, as they know that asking the Mexicans to attack will do nothing but tick off the Americans, and the Mexicans can just simply not reply, as like I said, at this time they are in a civil war. And now we can see the victory of the Central Powers take place, as the war is no longer on two fronts and the Americans no longer join. Bulgarian and Austro-Hungarian reinforcements help the Italians in the south, slowly taking more French lands, as the Germans, with some more Austro-Hungarian assistance, can now push in from the French north, eventually capturing Paris, with the peace deal looking somewhat like this. Luxembourg is annexed by Germany, and Belgium is made a German puppet. The French are forced to demilitarize, and the UK is also forced to accept German naval dominance. The Italians are given all land promised plus French Tunisia. Austria-Hungary gets to annex Montenegro and puppet Serbia and Romania, as Bulgaria also gets a little bit of lands from both Romania and Serbia, with this now being the official peace deal that will end World War I. Now, with this alternate World War I now over, with the peace deal now being shown, I hope you enjoyed the video. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in my next video.